Hey, what's going on, guys? It's a new year, so it's time to take a look back at what were the best Gunpla releases from 2023. Now, in past years, I've kind of done a little bit different. Sometimes I take a look at top standard releases and also top P-Bandai kits, or the best and the worst. This year, I just want to keep it really simple and just talk about what were some of my favorite Gunpla kits that I built and reviewed last year. So I hope that this video will be helpful for any of you guys if maybe you're new to Gunpla, and so maybe some of the more, even though the recent releases, maybe you didn't see them, or if they're releases that maybe you saw them coming out and you just kind of skipped over it, maybe you didn't even watch the review or anything, but now after hearing about it in this video, maybe you'll want to give the kit a second look. So these are some of just my top picks. I wouldn't necessarily say they're, objectively the best Gunpla releases of last year, although I think probably the case if you were to really get down to the nitty-gritty and figure out which ones were, objectively the best. Probably have pretty much about the same list, I would imagine, but let's just go ahead and get into it. I do have some of my personal bias in here maybe, but these are going to be some of my picks. Now, just real quick also before we get into it, obviously last year we didn't have a whole lot of other kits other than Witch From Mercury kits. So as you'll notice here on this list of 10, about half are HD Witch From Mercury kits. That's just because that's kind of the majority of what came out as far as new Gunpla last year. Although we did have some other cool stuff, and there were some really cool and really nice P-Bandai kits that came out as well. Just not going to talk about that really in this video. As like I said, I hope that this video will be a helpful resource for those of you guys who do want to maybe pick up some of these kits that maybe you missed or maybe you passed over. So with the fact that none of these are P-Bandai, they should be accessible to you guys. So the first one we're going to talk about is from Witch From Mercury, and it's the HG Michaelis. I really enjoyed this kit. I think it's a really fun kit. Thinking about it this morning, actually, when I was driving into work, and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm thinking over my list, I realized the Michaelis really reminds me a lot of like Figma. Just the way that it's so easy to pose and very simple and fun, and it's just sort of like this like an action figure almost, more so than a model kit, but it's a really fun model kit. And of course the fact that it's a model kit, I mean, makes it very highly customizable and everything, but just the kit itself, just once you have it built, it's just a really fun kit. And again, it is very simple, so if you wanted something a bit kind of more flashy with your kits, if you wanted more in the way of gimmicks, it does have a good amount of gimmicks in there with the claw arm. Obviously, as you may have seen around online, there's been a lot of people that have done custom builds, painting this kit up to look like Samus from Metroid, so it's obviously been a comparison that a lot of people noticed there with that arm cannon design there on it. So it's a really cool design. The kit looks great. It's really quick and simple to build, and it works really well. And up next, we had the MGSD Freedom Gundam. This one was a lot of fun. Really impressed me. The Freedom, it's not one of my favorite Gundam designs, and SD is generally not kind of my favorite proportion, but I really enjoyed this kit. It was a lot of fun to put together, very interesting, very unique, just because of it's a master grade, but shrunken down into SD proportions. That was made for a really unique build. It wasn't like just building the master grade Freedom 2.0 just in a smaller kind of form. There was a lot of new unique aspects to the build that made it a lot of fun. So that one really cool. It's super solid, that one also, even though there's a lot more going on like compared to something like the Michaelis. It's a little bit more kind of involved design. It's very easy and fun to pose there as well, and it just looks fantastic. The clear parts on it, like the details, even like inside the eyes and things like that. So it's super detailed in this little tiny compact kit when it's all said and done, but it's awesome. Up next then, getting back to the Witch From Mercury, we have the Lfrith Ur. Now between the two, the Lfrith Ur and the Lfrith Thorn, the Lfrith Thorn obviously is a very funky design with the proportions and everything, so I feel like maybe not as appealing to a lot of people just for that fact alone, and plus the color straight out of the box is a little bit interesting. The Lfrith Ur though is a really cool color, it's a really cool design, and I think that's something that a lot of people will really enjoy. The other great thing about this as well is if you're maybe not necessarily a fan of the general kind of Gundam design of the Witch From Mercury, it looks very different. It has a very different look to it from say like the Ariel or the original Lfrith or the Calibarn, for example, some like the lead Gundams. Lfrith Ur has a really different, much more blocky, angular look that I feel like could apply to a lot of people. So say like if your favorite series, like if you're a UC elitist all the way, or you're a fan of Gundam 00, even I feel like you would like this design, or Gundam Age. It's one of those designs that I feel like could fit into a lot of people's different preferences, and it has some really awesome weaponry. So once again, just a really fun, simple build, and it poses really easily. Again, that's going to be kind of the main thing I'm going to be saying for a lot of the HD Witch From Mercury kits is the simplicity of the build. They're easy, they're fun to build, and also they just work. Once you have it built up, they work really well as far as just like the articulation, the posing of them. So that's just going to be kind of a constant. Up next, this one is one that may surprise you because it certainly surprised me. The SD Cross Silhouette Tornado Gundam. As I just said a moment ago, SD is not really one of my favorite things generally, but this is another one when I built it, I was very pleasantly surprised. Now the SD Cross Silhouette Banshee also came out this year, which I also really liked, but considering that it's of course going to be based off of the SD Cross Silhouette Unicorn, which came out before it, I just want to kind of mention it here as like an honorable mention, I guess. It was also a really great kit, a lot of fun. But the Tornado Gundam being a more obscure Gundam that maybe a lot of people are going to, hear about that kit or see that kit and be like, what is this Gundam? I've never heard of this Gundam. I think I've maybe heard about it before, but it wasn't a Gundam design that I was that familiar with. But it made for a really fun kit, really unique design. That design in like SD proportions looks really cool. It has some fun weapons and accessories included with it, and it's one I think probably a lot of people just kind of ignored or didn't pay that much attention to, but you should definitely check it out. All right, then back to Witch From Mercury for the HG Gundvolva. This is another one that I guess sort of like the Michaelis is a little bit maybe boring color scheme for some people. That said, I think this makes for such a great grunt kit, such a great kit as a base for all kinds of customization, giving it different weapons, or maybe you want to kit bash it or something, but I feel like just the kit on its own is just super solid, and again, really fun and simple, easy to pose. It has some nice weapons and accessories with it, but again, like keeping it pretty basic. This is like the ultimate grunt suit design, although the Demi Trainer kit was a lot of fun as well. It's a little bit more kind of different design, so I guess kind of taking your pick as far as like which design you like as far as your favorite grunt from the series. The Demi Trainer was cool. I feel like the Gundvolva also is just a really cool, fun design that although it's maybe out of the box, the color scheme, like I said, is maybe a little bit boring for some people. It's one that I think lends itself really well to all sorts of different custom color schemes. So especially if you're wanting to get into painting or just try out some different interesting color schemes on a Gundam, this is a kit that you can pick up, for relatively cheap. Easy, fun kit to build, and then it will be a pretty easy kit to paint up as well. And it's going to look good in pretty much whatever paint you throw on it, I feel like. So that one is definitely one that I would check out as well. All right, up next is the only true 1/100 scale kit on the list here. Unfortunately, today it's the Forbidden Gundam, and this is one that I really enjoyed. I've been saying now for the past few releases in the full mechanics line, from the Calamity to the Raider to the Forbidden Gundam, these are pretty much master grades. Especially if you compare them to like some of the earlier master grades. Now, compared to modern day master grades, no, they're not that, but they're pretty close. They don't have all the bells and whistles of master grades, like having a seated pilot character figure in the working cockpit. They don't have a full inner frame, although they do have part of an inner frame, especially the Raider in particular has pretty much most of an inner frame. And looking at the kits on the surface, and this is totally by design, they look like master grades on the outside in just the amount of surface detail. And even though, the part count is not going to be as high as compared to, again, like a modern master grade, the color separation on them is really, really good. The way that the kits are engineered is also quite nice as well, as that they have like very minimal seam lines on them. So again, if it's a kit that you're wanting to be able to paint pretty easily, this is another one of those that I think is going to look fantastic and be very easy to paint. So definitely, if you want something like that, it's a great kit for that. The one minor complaint that I see leveled against these kits that I will agree with is that they're not quite as stable as a full-on master grade, and I think that's just for a number of reasons, just because they can be quite large and kind of heavy. This one in particular does have some pretty large aspects to it. That said, I think it holds up pretty well. You're not really going to have too much in the way of stability issues, but for me, that's kind of the only really thing missing from making this completely feel like a master grade. is that it maybe doesn't have that solid feeling that the Master Grades do have, but otherwise it's fantastic looking kit, really cool design, really sharp details on that one as well. So again, it's going to be one that, whether you're going to paint it or not, I think it's a great looking kit. Up next from the Witch of Mercury, we have the HG Gundam Schwarzette. This is one that, again, super unique design that at first I was like, I'm not sure if I really like that. There's certain aspects of the design that I like more than others for sure, but it's very unique. I love the kind of asymmetry of the weapon. I guess depending on how you're going to use the weapon, that's the other really cool thing about this. It has a really awesome gimmick in the weapon that it has. Can be used in a bunch of different ways. Can be used in an asymmetrical way, or if you're more into the symmetry, you can use it in a symmetrical way. So it just kind of depends on you. So it's very wide open. I feel like no matter which way you use the weapon as well, it looks cool. So there's sometimes kits where, they have gimmicks that, okay, it's cool that it does it, but it doesn't like really look good. But this one, in this case, no matter how you use its main gimmick being the weapon, it is going to look really good just straight out of the box. This one as well, it has like a very plain color scheme. It's not like very colorful, but I feel like I guess we have that with a lot of the HG or with a lot of the Witch from Mercury designs for some reason. But this is going to be another one where if you wanted something that's a little bit different from your kind of more traditional Gundam design, this is one that I think you'll really enjoy. So up next we have the real grade Epyon. I really enjoyed this kit as well. As you guys know, I did a custom paint job on this one, and it was a lot of fun to work on. Being a real grade kit, and especially a real grade wing kit, it's a little bit kind of even smaller than your standard wing kit, or than your standard real grade, I should say. So if you're not a big fan of like the little parts, then you probably don't even enjoy the RG line already. But that would be kind of the only thing that I would recommend for people, is that, yeah, if you don't like really teeny tiny parts, then maybe stay away from it, but it's not that bad. It doesn't have like a lot of, I can think of a bunch of other real grade kits that have, more of like these really super small parts. There are some, but it's a really fantastic kit, super solid. I think it's a really great representation of the design. When the Master Grade came out, I thought, oh, okay, it doesn't look quite right like the TV version, but it's a little bit stylized, it looks cool. This one as well, it's kind of a little bit in between, I guess. It looks a little bit more kind of like the TV version as we saw in the series, but it is still kind of a little bit stylized, so it's kind of like right in the middle where I feel like it looks really good. If they would have went like full-on TV design, it wouldn't really look good, and full-on stylized, it could look good, but I really like the design of this, is what I'm trying to say. And for a lot of people like me, especially like here in the West, if you grew up, if like Gundam Wing was your entry into Gundam in general, you have that nostalgia, of course, so it's really cool. I feel like there's probably a lot of people who are just big fans of the Epyon as this really cool antagonist Gundam design, and so it's really cool to have a nice new model kit of that. The Master Grade, which I've still not built yet, I'm sure is cool, and I've heard from some people that it does still hold up really well. But I would say, if you don't have any model kit of the Epyon yet and you're wanting to get one, definitely check out the real grade. Next up then, for our fifth and final entry on this list of the Witch from Mercury line, we have, of course, the HG Calibarn. This one was just such a great kit, and it's kind of no wonder that it's been selling really well. Well, I guess on that note, I should say, I think, in my personal opinion, one of the reasons why it's selling so well is that Bandai made so many of them. So, of course, if they have a bunch of them to sell, they can sell a lot of them, and it's just a really cool design. This one, again, very simple color scheme on it, which, as I said, has been kind of a little bit of a theme. Which may not appeal to some people, but again, if you want to custom paint this, I think if you wanted to paint it, basically you could apply like the Lfrith color scheme to this with like the hints of pink on it or whatever, or a more traditional Gundam like tricolor, blue, yellow, and red color scheme on it. You could do that as well, or in like a kind of all white color scheme. I think it does look really cool. The pre-printed clear parts that you have, like for the chest in this, just like we saw with the Lfrith, with the aerial rebuild before this, those parts look really good. They work really well with the kit, so it's one of those that you could just get this kit, build it up. It's going to look great just straight out of the box. Maybe if you want to just do a little bit of like panel lining in just to help break up some of the white, it's going to look great. Or of course fully painted, it's going to look even that much better. Again, a really cool custom gimmick with this one as well, with the kind of witch's broom cannon that it has. It's a very unique weapon, and just again makes the kit very fun and very unique compared to your standard, beam rifle, shield, beam saber kind of setup that we typically have for like a lead Gundam, right? So the Calibarn, definitely very cool, and fingers crossed, hoping that we'll get a 1/100 scale version, whether it be a full mechanics kit or hopefully a master grade kit. Still, at the moment of recording this, no announcement for any master grade Witch From Mercury kits yet. I don't think we're gonna have an announcement for one very soon. Probably 2025 maybe would be my guess as to when we're actually going to get our first Witch From Mercury master grade kit. We'll see. But for now, number 10, last on the list here, is of course going to be the master grade SD Barbaros. So I debated whether I wanted to put both MGSD kits on here that came out this year, as they're both the two MGSD kits, the first two from the line. And I thought, well, they're both really good, so I'll put them both on the list. So we're going to round out with the Barbaros here. Again, it was just a fantastic kit. I loved the fact that it was very familiar to building the regular master grade Barbaros, but there were definitely some new elements that were improvements to the design. I really liked the new separation of the knee armor, for one. It's a small thing, but I think it was a cool new part of the design. Also, of course, the clear parts look that much better even than the master grade or HG any other version. The clear parts on it look really good with the new design that they did by adding texture to the back of the clear pink parts to make them help them to catch the light. They look really fantastic. And again, I think it's really amazing what Bandai is able to do with these, shrunken down designs, but there's really not that much sacrifice to get them shrunken down like that. Typically with an SD kit, they're not that well articulated. Like the SD cross silhouette line does a pretty good job of being pretty nicely articulated for posing in the SD package. The master grade SD are not quite as shrunken down as like your typical SD kit. But they maintain fantastic posability, fantastic articulation in them. They're really nicely engineered. I mean, they're so much more master grade than SD. I feel like a lot of people, especially this is a critique that I see a lot of times when people look at the price tag, they say like, wow, that's really expensive for an SD kit. I would highly recommend looking at these as master grade kits just simply in SD proportions, because they have everything that you would expect for a typical master grade kit. That full inner frame, that stability, lots of great gimmicks, lots of great details on there, the working cockpit and all that. So they have all that. It's just shrunken down a little bit different proportions. So I think that these are really fun kits to build, and definitely looking forward to the future of the line. It's something that I was kind of wishing and hoping that Bandai would do for a long time, just because it kind of made sense, and I felt like it's something that would be popular. And so far, I think it has been pretty popular. So, and if the schedule is going to be something like 2 releases per year, I think that would be awesome. That's what we got last year. I don't know if that's what we're going to get this year. It seems like without knowing what the next one is yet, that it's not likely we're going to get 2 this year. Hopefully, probably we'll get 1, and it should be awesome. Don't know what it's going to be. If it's going to be maybe the RX-72 or something like the Unicorn, I think is something we're probably definitely going to see in this line, and which I imagine, would be a little bit more challenging to figure out how they're going to make it fully transformable, but I'm confident Bandai will figure it out, and it should be interesting. So I don't know. I mean, other than that, those are just like a couple of the most likely candidates, but you guys let me know in the comments, what do you think would make for a good MGSD? There's a lot of awesome stuff. I think the Kshatriya would be another one, so maybe after the Unicorn, it could do a Kshatriya, since Bandai seems to not want to do a master grade Kshatriya, maybe just shrinking it down, make it a little bit easier. I think that would be cool, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, guys, so that's it for my top 10 picks from 2023. Out of having, without including P Bandai, that didn't give me a whole lot of options, and there was just a lot of HG Witch From Mercury. So you saw a lot of that on this list, but let me know some of your picks down in the comment section below. If you had any different ideas from what I suggested, let me know, or if you completely agree, let me know. And of course, you guys want to pick up some of the kits for yourself, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. Most of all these kits I believe we should have for you guys, but you can check the link and check out all of the different cool stuff there on the website. And as always, guys, thank you so much for all of your support, liking the video, commenting, subscribing. It all helps out a lot. So thank you guys. Till next time, have a great day. Bye.